United States education is your gateway
to a great American campus experience,
to pursue your passions,
to navigate cultural differences,
to gain real-world experiences,
to learn skills for a changing job market,
to thrive in your career,
to give back to your community and to the world,
to be the kind of person that you wouldn't have dreamed to be otherwise.
Come study in the United States.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's webinar. I'm very pleased to welcome all of you here today, and I'm very excited because we have another interesting topic for you, and it's dedicated to application to an art school, which a lot of our students asked for this topic, and we have great speakers. But before we start with our speakers, I would like to introduce myself first. I'm Alina Yakubov, an EducationUSA advisor, and I'm representing EducationUSA Virtual. So you should know that within EducationUSA Virtual, you can get a lot of useful information. You can get access to nice webinars, specifically dedicated this month to career orientation, next month dedicated to scholarships. So we are encouraging you to stay tuned to all our events. We are encouraging you to ask for assistance, for help, for consultations, and to follow us on our social media platforms. And now I would like to proceed to introducing you our guest speakers. So we have Lizzy from New York Film Academy and Peter Mэй from SCAD University. And we will try to, today gonna have a panel discussion. So I have prepared some questions for Lizzy and Peter, and each of them will answer to that question. So you just can understand the structure, how we're gonna talk. And at the end of this webinar, we're gonna allow like 20 minutes to answer the question that we'll get during this webinar and to answer to the question that you have sent us in advance. So please don't worry, we will try to cover all the questions. Okay, so Lizzy, I will just ask you to introduce yourself, to tell us a bit more about the university that you are representing, and then we'll move to Peter.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. My name is Lizzi Сэk. I am the Director of International Outreach here at the New York Film Academy. I've been here almost 11 years, so I've had the pleasure of visiting close to 82 countries for New York Film Academy, but we are a college of film, media, and performing arts that offer 10 different disciplines within the arts, 5 locations worldwide, and multiple lengths of programs, whether it's a teen program or an adult short-term or associate's, bachelor's, or master's degrees. There's something for everybody at New York Film Academy.
Awesome. So guys, prepare your questions. Okay, good. Then we move to Peter. Peter, I would like you to tell us more about the university that you're representing.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Mэй. I'm Director of Admission at SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design. I've been in SCAD for 14 years. And I actually started with International Student Services, so I'm a bit of a visa expert as well as now in international admission. And I'm happy to connect with you. SCAD is perhaps the largest art and design university in the US at this point in terms of numbers of students and programs. We have about 40 different majors in all different kinds of creative fields, including creative business, as well as fields that are considered STEM. And I'm happy to talk about any of those. I'm gonna, at the end of the presentation, leave my contact information in case you have follow-up questions. But SCAD is located in Savannah, Georgia, and Atlanta, Georgia, in the Southeast US near to Florida. And we, as I said, we have quite a lot of programs.
Okay, perfect. I will ask you guys both to leave your contact information in case our students will want to reach you after this webinar. And now let's start with the question that I have prepared for you. And the first one would be, what are the general steps involved in applying to art colleges in the USA as an international student? If you can just cover what is the specific and what an international student should know in the process of, preparing his application. Lizzy, let's start with you.
Sure. So every school is different, obviously, but with New York Film Academy, what we are looking for the most is either your portfolio or your audition, depending on which discipline you're choosing to study. What I can say is that for New York Film Academy, because we are so intensive, you should understand that you will eat, sleep, and breathe filmmaking or acting or producing, whatever program it may be. But be prepared to really show yourself as an artist, to tell your story and make you something that is different from, somebody else. And everyone has a unique story to tell. So it is very exciting to have stories from all over the world at New York Film Academy.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I see we have some troubles with the internet connection for Peter, but I think we can move on to the next question for you. Okay, and normally, what are the expectations for an art portfolio submission? How it should be submitted and presented? What a student should know about that?
Sure. So at New York Film Academy, it's going to depend on the discipline that you are studying. So for acting or musical theater, you will have to audition. And in order to audition for an acting for film program, it's 2 monologues that are 60 to 90 seconds a piece. And for musical theater, it's 2 musical theater songs and 1 monologue. And New York Film Academy does travel, the globe, and we hold live auditions wherever we are. But you can also just record your audition and send it in, like 95% of the students do. And then if we're looking at any of our visual arts programs, we would love to see any films that you have made. If they are in another language, they should have subtitles. But we also are interested in looking at scripts, storyboards, short stories, poems, anything that really shows you as an artist. I one time had a student who was a furniture designer, and he sent me pictures of the furniture that he designed. So we really just know who you are as an artist more than anything. And then depending on the length of program will depend on other things that you have to submit for New York Film Academy. But the most important thing for us is your work as an artist.
Okay, perfect. That totally makes sense. Peter, what about SCAD? What are the general steps involved in applying to your college, and what an international student should consider?
Sure. So for our school,
I think we've lost again, Peter. Okay.
If you're applying for an undergraduate program, we would need 3 things: your high school transcripts, a resume with curricular activities, and a portfolio showing your best creative work. If you're applying for a graduate program, one of our master's programs, we would need a portfolio that's specific to the major that you're applying for, 2 letters of recommendation, a statement of purpose, and your university transcript.
Okay, that totally makes sense. And what are the expectations from an art portfolio for SCAD? How it should be formatted or presented?
Okay, so first of all, it's important that wherever you apply to ask that same question, because each school are going to have different expectations. So speaking just specifically for SCAD, for our undergraduate portfolio,
Okay, I think we've lost Peter again, but no problem. We'll go back to him until his connection is not getting a bit better. Okay, Lizzie, let's move to the next question. Okay, Peter, we have you back.
I'm so sorry. We were testing this for 20 minutes.
Yes, and it was working. Yeah. That's really strange. You can finish with the question that we had previously. So yes, you were saying about the portfolio.
Yeah, so just your best creative work, and I was just going to add that.
Okay, it's not getting any better, unfortunately. Okay, good. Lizzie, I will go with the next one. So what are the expectations for an art portfolio submission? How should be formatted or presented? And I think you answered that, but we can move to the next one. Could you provide more details about the specific art programs offered at your college?
Absolutely. So we are the New York Film Academy. So it is a little misleading because we do obviously offer film. We also offer acting for film as well as musical theater, producing, cinematography, screenwriting, 3D animation, game design, broadcast journalism, documentary filmmaking, and photography. So sort of everything under the realm of art. And we offer it in our campus in New York City, as well as Los Angeles and South Beach, Miami, Florida. And then we do also have a campus in Florence, Italy as well. So there are different disciplines because of how we teach at New York Film Academy, the intensity of it, it's not possible to major and minor. So students, because it is such a collaborative atmosphere, the acting for film students will be working very closely with the filmmaking students who work with the producers and the cinematographers. So it is a very hands-on atmosphere here.
Okay, that makes sense. And I think I forgot to ask you about the platform that the student should use for the submission of their application form.
Sure.
Is it like a common app, or is it on your website? How it should
Right.
work?
So we do not use the Common App. It is our own portal. So you would go to the New York Film Academy website, you click apply now, you would create your own applicant portal, and that's where you would fill out the application. You upload all of your documents. And then for the portfolio, it does need to be a link, whether that's to a Vimeo or a YouTube page or a Google Drive. And then for the audition, it just needs to be 2 links to your work. So everything is in one spot for New York Film Academy. It's just the New York Film Academy portal online, and it's a one-stop shop.
Okay, that totally makes sense. And one of the questions that it would be the most important, what are the financial requirements for international students applying to an art college? Are there specific forms of documentation needed to demonstrate financial support, which in many cases we definitely need, and we would like to know more about that?
Absolutely. So again, every school is different, but for New York Film Academy, we do offer, for any of our programs that's 1 year or longer, we do offer multiple types of institutional discounts. There are no full scholarships at New York Film Academy, but we do offer a talent-based award, which is going to be based off of your talent, your creative portfolio, or your audition. Then we also have a needs-based tuition assistance, which is based off of you and your family's need for financial help, and a merit-based award, which is based off of your high school GPA, as well as extracurricular activities. For students who are interested in coming for a master's program, we do also offer something called a Matthew Modine Master's Scholarship. For those of you who may not know who Matthew Modine is, he's a very famous actor here in the United States. He was Papa on Stranger Things, and he sits on our board. He's a very close friend of New York Film Academy, and he has allotted a specific amount of funding to go towards top MFA applicants. So once you have submitted your documents, you will be reviewed for all of those institutional discounts, and then you'll be able to see sort of what you need to be expecting for your tuition. In order to get a student visa, you do have to prove that you have the first 2 semesters of tuition plus living expenses. So that usually is around $50,000 to $60,000 in liquid form. And then once we have that, then we can go forward with the whole visa process. But it is important to note that New York Film Academy's bachelor's degree is an accelerated 3-year degree. So it's actually 1 year shorter than other schools, which makes it 1 year less expensive. And with the institutional discounts, you can receive a tuition anywhere between about $25,000 to $35,000 US per year, which for the United States is quite affordable.
Okay, and can a student work on campus? Is there any possibility to do that?
New York Film Academy offers very few on-campus opportunities, also because students are in class Monday through Friday from 9 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night, and they're shooting on nights and weekends. They're in class about 35 hours a week and then working on their projects after that. So there's not a lot of free time, and a lot of the free time that they have will be working with other students on their projects. So for instance, the filmmaking students in their first year work on 36 films. So the acting for film students, while they're learning acting in the classroom, will audition to be in those student films. So there is opportunity to work on campus, but it's a very low amount. So we just like students to be aware that you really should be prepared to not work while you're studying here.
That's totally making sense. I'll go back to the questions that we also have for Peter, because I see the connection is better now. Okay, Peter, so we were talking about the expectations for an art portfolio submission and how it should be formatted or presented at your university.
Sure, and apologize for the technical difficulties. So for us, we just are looking for examples of your best work, whatever that is, and presented in the most professional way. So my tip is always think about it like I've asked you to invite everybody that you've ever met in your entire life to come to view the work that you have made, the best work that you've made in your life. Think about how you would present that. How would you crop the pictures, the lighting, things like that? Present it in the very best way. We're looking for finished work rather than process work. Now, for graduate programs, you do have to have a specific portfolio for that major and we have different guidelines for each one of our programs. So you just need to make sure to read those guidelines. And we ask you to submit through a platform called Slide, which is common for a lot of art and design schools in the US.
Okay, and could you provide more details about the specific art programs that you are offering at your college?
Sure. Like I said, we're quite large. We have around 40 different majors, but just some examples of some of our more popular majors. We have animation, illustration. We also have film and television producing. At a graduate level, you can focus on editing or cinematography, for example. We also have performing arts, production design, visual effects, interior design, architecture, graphic design. We do have fine art like painting and sculpture, so quite a lot. And then we have what we call business programs, business innovation programs like design management, service design, user experience design. We even have a program for sneaker design. So if you're interested in breaking into a multi-billion-dollar industry designing sneakers, there's actually quite a lot of need, and our students are all getting great jobs in that industry.
Perfect. And what platform they can use for the application? Should they apply on your website, or Common App is also okay? Yeah,
so you can either choose Common App or apply directly on the website. It's whatever is easier for you. Is totally fine.
Okay, perfect. And then we move to the financial requirements. What are the chances that a student would get a scholarship or financial aid at your college?
Sure. So the first thing to know is that all students are eligible for scholarships, and you will be reviewed for scholarships automatically just by completing the application process. Most students are offered some sort of scholarship, and these are mostly partial tuition discounts. So they're usually in the range around 10% to 40%. That's the normal range. The scholarships are merit-based, not need-based, and there are two scholarships that everyone is considered for automatically. One is an academic award that's based on your high school GPA if you're a freshman, or your university GPA if you're applying as a transfer or graduate student. And the second scholarship is called an achievement scholarship, which is based on a review of your portfolio and your resume. For undergrads, that would be your extracurricular activities. For graduate, that would be any kind of professional experience and recommendations you may have.
Okay, that totally makes sense. Okay, then I'll move to the next questions about the housing options, because we know that not a lot of colleges might have the possibility of offering housing to students. In many cases, they are lucky even to have the housing covered, but we would like to know more about the universities that at your university, how the things are, and specifically what are the housing options, and how does the college assist international students in finding accommodation in case they need to. Lizzie, let's start with you.
Sure. So we have housing coordinators at all of our locations that will assist with housing. It's important to note that all of our locations are urban colleges, which means we are not on a set campus in any one place. There's multiple buildings throughout New York City that we're in, throughout LA. The New York City campus is located at the very southern tip of Manhattan, so we overlook the Statue of Liberty, and we do offer dormitory style housing that's one subway stop away from the school here. That's single, double, or triple rooms with a private bathroom, and then shared kitchen, shared living area, stuff like that. In Los Angeles, we are located right between Warner Brothers and Universal Studios. So you actually get to see the Warner Brothers water tower from your classroom. And because Los Angeles is a very large spread out city, we work with apartment complexes that are within bike riding or walking distance. And those are studio, 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom fully furnished apartments. And same goes for Miami and Florence, Italy. But we do have housing coordinators everywhere that we have campuses to be able to help. LA and New York are the two craziest housing markets, I think, in the United States. But the good thing is that there's always housing available somewhere.
Perfect. What about SCAD, Peter?
Yeah, so we have housing available at both our locations in the US, Atlanta and Savannah. Housing on campus, it's required for the first year for freshmen, and actually would encourage that for all international students, just to get a chance to get to know the city, your way around, and so on. And there's lots of different options. A lot of them are what we call suite style, where you'll share a room with a roommate and then have a shared living space with 2 other students, which includes, restroom, kitchen area. But yeah, lots of different housing options, different types of styles of housing, different locations.
Okay, good. I think we'll go on with the next question. Okay, Lizzie, what support services does the college offer to international students, especially those transitioning to live in the United States?
Absolutely. So we do have a full international student office, which will help with the entire process of the student visa, making your appointment, going for your visa appointment, and then entering the United States. While students are here, the international office helps with setting up bank accounts if a student needs a driver's license. And then we also have multiple therapists on campus that students receive free hour therapy sessions with if they're having trouble adjusting or, dealing with New York City and Los Angeles. And then all of our deans of students at each campus are also available to help. But we are about 50% international. So New York Film Academy, I like to say it's not our first rodeo. So if international students need anything, there's always somebody available to help, whether it's myself, whether it's the international office, whether it's the therapy office, we're there.
Okay, perfect. Peter, what about SCAD?
Yeah, so we have an international office. Like I said, when I introduced myself, I actually was the director of international student services for 8 years at SCAD Atlanta. But we still have a great team that's there to welcome you. We have early arrival programs for international students where you can come a little bit early. We'll help you get set up with your bank account, with your mobile phone service. And then they're there throughout the time with any kind of life in the US kind of things. If you need to go to the doctor, find the doctor, and we provide insurance for you and so on. So a lot of support. And then fun activities too. I used to take van loads of students down to Disney World, or just up to the mountains to go whitewater rafting. I always remember, you're there to study, of course, but you're also kind of a tourist. Just like if I came to your country, I would want to see the sights. I understand that. We understand that. So we want to make sure you have a great and fun experience as well as an interesting academic one.
That sounds great. Okay, let's move to the next question. How does your college support international students in terms of career development and internship opportunities, especially in the field of arts? Lizzie, I'll let you answer this one.
Sure. So New York Film Academy, in each one of our programs, we do have a business component. So you're learning how to be a business person as well as an artist. Towards the end of your studies, you will have personal meetings with the We call it community development officers, who will help you start building a CV. We'll go through cold calls. You will have, depending on your major, you will have either a showcase, or you'll have somewhat of a job fair, or we have something called a pitch fest that's available for producers and filmmakers alike. The filmmakers will finish with a festival-ready film. And because of the amount of work that the students are doing throughout their studies, they're going to have a reel or a CV that's quite large compared to traditional universities. From there, we have had students who have gone on to work in the United States on OPT. We do offer 1 year of OPT when you have finished studying, which is optional practical training. And then a lot of students have returned home to their home countries. I think at this point we have 86% of our students who are working within the industry, whether it's here in the United States or abroad. But all of our teachers are current industry professionals, so you're networking with them, you're networking with alumni, and really being able to understand, yes, how to be an artist, but really how to find your way through the business that is Hollywood. So.
Yeah, that's definitely important. Okay, Peter, what about SCAD?
Yeah, so we are really considered sort of the jobs university in the sense that we're kind of obsessed with making sure our students are finding great professional opportunities. And we're really proud to have a 99% employment rate for the last 5 or 6 years. Before that, it was 98% for a few years. So there's a lot that we do. We're kind of obsessed with it. So first, we do have career advisors that can help you with things like interview prep and getting your resume and your portfolio ready for the job market. We also have hundreds of employers visiting campus every year, doing presentations, hiring for internship. We have industry collaboration projects where companies will actually come and we'll put together a dream team of creatives that will work on a project for them. We did a redesign of Google Maps.
Okay, I think we've lost Peter again. Okay, good. Okay, let's move to the questions that we have already in our chat. I see some questions are coming from our students, and I would like you both to help us with the answers. So one of the first questions is, okay, so from Christina, could you tell us more about the scholarship? Does NIFA offer full scholarships to international students? And what do we need to do to apply for it?
Sure. So, as mentioned before, we don't offer full scholarships, but we do offer multiple institutional discounts where you can receive up to about 40% off of your tuition. So as I said before, we do offer a talent-based award, which is based off of your creative portfolio or your audition, and you are automatically reviewed for that. Once you've been reviewed for that, you can also apply for a needs-based tuition assistance, which is based off of you and your family's need for financial help. We then also have a merit-based award, which is based off of your high school GPA and extracurricular activities. And then specifically for master's students, we have that Matthew Modine Master's Scholarship, who is a famous actor here. He's allotted a certain amount of funding to go towards top applicants. But there are no full scholarships, but we do offer up to about 40% off tuition through institutional discounts. So really you are automatically applied for your talent-based, and then we'll walk through with you for the needs-based and merit-based and Matthew Modine-based scholarship.
Okay, perfect. Peter, I will just let you tell us also about the scholarships that the student can benefit at SCAD.
Sure. Yeah, similar. We don't really have full tuition, but we do have up to around 40% as well. And again, you're automatically reviewed for those during the application process. And most students are offered some sort of scholarship. Matthew Modine, by the way, his show Stranger Things was actually shot in Atlanta, and SCAD students working on that TV show. So we actually got a chance to meet him ourselves. He came to SCAD a few years ago during the shooting.
He's the nicest person.
He's really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, the other question that we have is if you can just share more about how to find extracurricular activities to apply to our art school, I think you can just give suggestions in this case. So I guess it also depends on the program that the person is specifically applying for, but maybe some general extracurricular activities that you might find applicable for all the programs that you have, and you guys can share it with our audience. Lizzie, can you please start first?
Sure. Of course, you would want to join, if you're interested in performing arts, any of your drama programs at your high school, or even community drama. There's a lot of places that have a community theater that we have students who take part in that. Of course, if there's any IB film, IB drama, you would want to be part of that. But that's not the only thing that we look at. It's going to say something if you're part of a sports team, or if you were part of the debate team as well. We want to know how you are as an all-around student. I always say the more you're involved, the more interesting you're going to be. So whether that's with drama, whether that's with volleyball, whether that's with the debate team, that's what we're looking for. And it's only going to add to your experience as a student and make you a more desirable candidate, I think.
Okay. Peter, what do you can say about that?
Yeah, everything Lizzie said is also true for SCAD. We just really want to know more about you. And I know it may be against your nature to feel like you want to brag, but I would say just go ahead and brag. Share all the interesting things about you and your experience and so on. And because that helps us understand. Other than that, we just know your grades and your portfolio, but we really want to know you when we're reviewing your application.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay, the other question is, are there any theoretical art programs like art history or art management? Lizzie, what about
New York Film Academy is mostly a practical school, so we have very few theoretical programs. The only one that we would have is the BA in Film and Media Studies or an MA in Entrepreneurial Producing. But we are much more of a practical school that focuses on learning by doing rather than theory. But I think SCAD has a ton of options.
Well,
yes, and Peter was saying some of them, but he can say it again.
we do have art history, and we have a lot of programs that we consider we have one program called Creative Business Leadership. There's fashion marketing and management, there's luxury and brand management, there's the business of beauty and fragrance. There's, like I said, there's things like sneaker design and user experience design. So some of these do have a lot of theory. I do want to say that there is a practical side to each of these. Even art history, I mean, I would say, well, you're writing, you'll be doing research and writing research papers and so on. And even in creative business leadership, we always do like to include some sort of visual creative component, because it is important for you to understand it if you're managing it. But they tend to be a little bit more on the theoretical side.
Okay, that totally makes sense. So I think we've finished with the questions that came now, but we have some questions that came in advance from our audience. And one of them was, is high GPA mandatory? Lizzie, what you can say about NIFA?
No. That's what I'll say.
How do you evaluate the application?
So New York Film Academy, for us, you have to have graduated from high school. That's what it is. We are an art school. We understand not every artist is a mathematician. They probably don't want to be. However, their GPA will come in handy when you're applying for a merit-based award. So for our merit-based award, you need at least a 3.25 GPA. Obviously, if your high school transcript is not on a 4.0 scale, you would have to have that evaluated for translation. But no, for New York Film Academy, it's not. You're an artist, and Steven Spielberg didn't even graduate high school. But please do graduate high school. But just understand that it's not absolutely necessary. We are also a test optional school, so we do not require SAT or ACT scores.
Okay, so that's a good point. So you are test optional.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, I think that's also a good point for our audience. Peter, what about Kat?
Yeah, so we do look at GPA first. I'll say that we have experience with students who have high GPAs but maybe their portfolio isn't as strong, and we find that they're able to learn. So we find a lot of promise for students that are able to do well academically. Conversely, if your GPA is low, it doesn't automatically eliminate you, but we will put a little bit more weight then on your portfolio and your creative experience because, just like in the Steven Spielberg example, it's not all about the academics, it's also about your passion and your skills and your creativity. I do want to just add that for us, you don't have to, we actually will do the evaluation in-house. So if your transcripts are in a different scale, we'll convert that over to our 4-point scale. Once you have a 3.0 or higher, you may start to get an academic award or a 3.25 for graduate students.
And by the way, would the high GPA give more chances to get financial support?
Yeah, it's on a scale. So the closer you get to that magic 4.0 number, the higher your academic award is. And it's a rubric that we use. So I can almost tell you what your academic scholarship is going to be just based on your GPA. And I also wanted to say we are also test options to submit those tests at all.
Perfect. Okay, that totally makes sense. And I think there will be some question that would just come from me, which I thought of them during our panel discussion. I was also thinking about an interview. Is there an interview that will be set up with the candidate? For example, if the applicant had sent you the application before, we know that normally if that's a normal major or a normal program, they would not get the chance to have an interview with the admission commission. But what about the art schools? Would they have to have an interview with you just to check, for example, their English language in case if that's not a test optional they have? What about, Lizzie, you can start.
So for New York Film Academy, for any of our degree programs, we do require either a TOEFL, IELTS, or a Duolingo. Our chairs do prefer to have an interview for our master's students. So you would get a one-on-one with the chair of the program. For our bachelor's degree students, it's certainly welcome if they would like to. It's not required. And then for our short-term 4 and 8-week workshops and our 1-year conservatory programs, the English test is not required, but you do need to have an interview with myself or an admissions representative to ensure your English is high enough. I personally like to speak to each one of my students just because that's who I am, but we are more than welcome to either speak to them or have the chair speak to the student as well. So it's not mandatory unless you're coming for a master's program.
Okay, Peter?
We don't require interviews. In some cases, we may ask for one, but they're not required in general for admission. For English, we also don't require that you submit an proof of English, but that's because we offer a full ESL program. So if you've never taken the TOEFL or IELTS, we'll just give you an assessment when you get here. And depending on your level, you may start with ESL classes if we feel like you need them in order to do well in your academic and studio courses. However, you can also exempt from taking that assessment if you decide to submit TOEFL or IELTS, and there's a few other ways that you can submit proof of English as well.
Okay, that totally makes sense. And one of the last questions that I also have for you, Bob, is the rate of international students that have been accepted last year at your universities. I think that will give a better perception to our students. What are the chances for them to get into your universities? And maybe you can just separate that by region, let's say Europe, or let's say Asia, or let's say, I don't know, another continent. Lizzie, what about NIFA?
So it's going to be different for us depending on the length of program. For our short-term workshops, those 4 and 8-week workshops, everyone is welcome. We believe that if you have a desire to study, you should be able to study it. Once you get into the 1-year conservatory and bachelor's degree, it's going to depend on the discipline. So the hardest program to get into at New York Film Academy, believe it or not, is musical theater, because you have to be able to sing. So there's about a 40% acceptance rate for musical theater. The rest of the programs are much, much higher, closer to 90%. Then you get into the master's programs. The Masters of Acting for Film is about a 40% acceptance rate. However, the rest of the masters are closer to an 80%. So like I said, we are 50% international. It's something we're very proud of. And again, New York Film Academy was founded with the belief that if you have a passion for this, you should be able to do it. So you can start small and then go bigger.
That totally makes sense. Peter, what about SCAD?
Okay, I'll try to keep it short. It's actually a complicated answer. So
I imagine.
First of all, for graduate programs, it is more selective. It just depends on the program and your own personal portfolio and background. You do have to have some experience or education, not necessarily education, but definitely some talent and experience in the field to be eligible for a graduate program. For undergraduate, we just have a different philosophy than any other school that I've ever encountered. A lot of schools will actually try to manipulate their acceptance rate by sure they get lots of applications, even though they only have 100 spots. Mm-hmm. And then they get to how they have a low acceptance rates, which then justifies them raising the cost of their tuition. That's a very cynical view, but what we do is we say, we're not going to do that. We're going to accept every single qualified student. And so what that means for us is that some years programs grow, some years programs shrink. And if they grow, we'll actually find more faculty to make sure that we can meet the needs of those students. If they shrink, there's sometimes that we actually cut programs out. So we'll actually stop a particular program because we'll see that it's not popular anymore. So it's a little bit of a moving target there. I do want to say we have around 20.
Okay, and here Peter stopped. Okay, one of the most important at the number. Okay, Peter, tell me,
22 to 24% international students. Yeah, okay. And I'm done.
Okay, I think that's a great number. Okay, good. I think I am done with the questions, and we've tried to cover all of those who have been sent in advance and all of those who have been sent in the chat during this webinar. I would like to thank you once again for your time and for this good answers. I hope we covered at least some of the questions that our audience was also, looking for. But in case if you guys have additional questions, you can see here in the chat the email addresses of Peter and Lizzie, and you can reach them directly. I'm more than sure that you will get the answer that you need from them. I am really grateful once again, Peter and Lizzie, for your time and for these great explanations on the question that I have prepared for you today. And you guys, I wish you a great evening and a nice weekend because it's already Thursday. And thank you very much. Stay tuned for our events for the rest of July because we are coming every week with a new webinar. And thank you very much for being with us. Thank you once again and have a great evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. So sorry about the technical difficulties. Please email.